This is part two of the lecture that got cut off from part one. We're going to finalize this with a discussion on how to sound smart in this paper and how to go about that. So how should this paper sound? What should the tone of this paper be? This is a really important element of an analysis essay, is coming off as educated and analytical. This, I believe, essay is exploratory and can even be considered an emotional one. You're asked to dive deep and do self-examination. This is not about you. This is about an advertisement. So with that in mind, you also have other technical terms to account for in this paper. So the technicality of those terms is going to relate to formal word choice, but impersonal, I guess, at the same time is a way of thinking about this. So those terms need to be used clearly and precisely. If you discuss ethos, pathos, logos in this paper, they have to be done in it has to be done in a kind of a lofty manner so that you don't just come off as like, I know what these things are and I'm going to tell you where they are. It's more about showing what the significance is in the use of trying to build credibility or ethos, what kind of emotions are being evoked and how you know, what kind of logical appeals and if they actually are logical. That kind of stuff is going to be helpful as far as your term use, but it should be clear and precise in the way that it's presented. Students sometimes will trip over themselves with this paper and make it very wordy and kind of overdone to try to reach an analytical tone, but the trick is to actually pare your language down and be as direct as possible. Be precise. You should assume that your audience is educated and is familiar with the commercial. I am your audience, I am educated, and I have chosen all of these commercials for a reason because I know that they are all ripe for analysis. I know that they are frequently watched commercials or that they were famous sometimes once in their day and they've gone down in history for a reason. And I know that there's research on them. So you should assume that I know all of this going in. And that should keep you from summarizing the advertisement endlessly. When you know the audience is already on your same page, your job is to do something else for them, which is analyze the significance. Assume I know the ad, but I need it analyzed for me to make sense of it. Remember that this is not a personal piece of writing, so you should avoid pronouns in general. It's not about the I like this ad, I believe this ad is blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not really what I'm looking for here. There should be no you in this paper. You as a pronoun in formal writing is just one of the most cringy, if you will allow me this phrase or this word, it's one of the cringiest word choices because you is simultaneously vague and also accusatory. So you would say, when you watch the advertisement, well, who is you in this sentence? Avoid you. Favor audiences or viewers or consumers. You know, that's a better term rather than just this vague you. And of course, we. You are not united with your audience in writing this, and you won't be in any of the other papers that you produce for this class, so avoid we. You should leave out an evaluation of the advertisement. You should analyze it instead. An evaluation means you're talking about its goodness or badness. I'm not interested in whether you think it's good or bad, or well done or not well done. I want you to analyze its rhetoric. You should leave out your personal response to the advertisement, whether you liked it or you didn't like it. I don't really care. I'm interested in seeing what you can do standing apart from that commercial. And this can actually be kind of difficult for some students, especially if the advertisement kind of touched a nerve or if it upholds values that they already have. They're likely to praise it or criticize it, kind of depending. Refrain from doing that because it lowers the tone. Again, this isn't a blog entry. This is an analytical paper. So put on your left brain cap and kind of keep right brain in check for this. Not interested in your emotions with it. I'm interested in the emotions of the advertisement, but not yours. You should use the present tense and active voice in discussing this. Getting back to the iPad commercial, Robin Williams' speech is used this way. Present tense would also include the colors are bright, the lighting is beautiful, that kind of phrasing. Please don't use the past tense, even though these advertisements were all created in the past technically. And don't use passive voice either, in that you switch up the verb and the subject, so it's unclear who's doing the action. It's also very wordy that way. Remember that you are making an argument about the commercial. So if no one can disagree with you, you probably just have a summary of what's going on. And since I already know what's going on, I don't need that summary. I just want to know what it means. What does it mean? What does it mean is always that question to ask yourself to make sure that you are actually at an argument.